Most students think that we are in the month of February and the round one deadline for US business schools falls sometime in September of this year. So there is adequate time to catch this without any problem, and we need not bother about the GMAT right now. They can't be more wrong. Before you blink, you'll realize that you're running out of time. You're not just racing against the clock, you're racing against what is called essay burnout. And essays are a crucial component of your business school application. What we'll do right now is going to do one very simple exercise, which is going to take us 2.5 hours. I provided a link to take a diagnostic test. This is a free diagnostic test available at the Wizako portal. It's for a duration of 2 hours and 15 minutes. 3 45-minute sections, exactly the same length and the same number of questions as you will see in the GMAT. Take this test and then we'll look at, depending upon what score you've got, whether you have to do a preparation which is going to span just 2 months that you can get a 705 in the GMAT, or you would require something like 5 to 6 months and then plan accordingly. So I'm going to essentially walk you through 3 different study plans based on what your score is. Take the test, not tomorrow, not day after tomorrow. Find the 2 hours, 15 minutes today and take the test tonight latest. And then there are 2 things that are going to happen. One, you'll know your score. And this video will walk you through what those scores can, how you can interpret those total scores as. In addition to that, each of you who takes the test will provide you with an AA assisted, Swetha and Bhaskar reviewed feedback about how your test went, so that you can plan it accordingly later. Now, you're taking the test, sitting and looking at the score. There can be 3 scenarios. Starting with scenario 1, where out of the 64 marks in the test, you got lesser than 20 marks. Don't give up yet. Right? I've known students, enough number of students who started at 15, 16, 8 in this test, and in about 6 months' time, they managed to score that 695, 705 in the focus edition of the GMAT. So this is not about your intelligence or anything. It's about your familiarity with the questions and how you could basically pace during these 2 hours, 15 minutes. Where you started is all that it's saying. It's not talking about your competence or capability. We're looking at this first scenario where you got lesser than 20 marks. You would need at least 5 and about 6 months to do justice to your preparation. What all components does it entail? It entails about 75 days to 90 days of getting your basics in place, right? It could be rules about how to solve a critical reasoning question. It could be about formula related to certain aspects of the quantitative reasoning section and navigating through the tougher section of the GMAT, which is the data insights, getting all of these in place. How do I solve a 2-part analysis question? What is a multi-source reasoning question? How do I essentially navigate between the tabs? And how do I essentially get all 3 statements given in the table analysis, right? So all of these theoretical components you're going to get in place in the first 75 to 90 days. You would require 30 days of timed preparation. In the sense, what I'm saying is, take section-wise, topic-wise tests, take a test in number properties, take a test in evaluate the argument, take a table analysis test, and these should be timed tests. So in about 25 minutes, you're probably trying to solve 10 quant questions. In about 30 minutes, you're trying to solve 10 DA questions to start with, and then reduce the time down to 2 minutes for a quant question and 2.5 minutes for a DA question. So these are the timed section-wise, topic-wise tests. So it's going to take you about 30 days. So you're initially at 90 days, another 30 days of doing this exercise, and wrap it up with 30 days of full-length mock test. So that's 150 days is what we are typically talking about, which is 5 to 6 months. There would obviously be gaps in this preparation, which is why I said you need about 6 months. Why are we starting in February for this? The application deadline is going to be sometime in the 1st to 3rd week of September for good colleges. We're in February. That's the 2nd month. Let's say it navigates to 6 months for you to complete this preparation and take the test. You would complete the test by the 8th month. You'll have about a month to do justice to your application packet, and you'll need that minimum 1 month to do justice to it. And how should you go about this preparation? If you started with lesser than 20 marks in this test, then obviously you cannot take chances by going through a forum like GMAT Club or trying to do self-preparation. You need tutor-led assistance to do justice to it. Pick the one that works for you. It could be a private tutor if you can afford one. It could be a classroom-led thing if you live in a place where you have a good classroom program, or it could be a live online class. Self-paced programs are not going to do justice to you. A tutor not just takes math and DI and like verbal classes for you. They will help you realize where you need to course correct, how you need to pace, and what you should skip and what you should do. They're going to handhold you through this process, and that's super critical. So if you're less than 20, the path forward is about 6 months, and the breakup I've given you, and the best investment that you can do to yourself is to not do self-preparation and look at a tutor-led assistance. Let's look at scenario number 2. If you scored somewhere between 20 and 45, Right? You are in this category where if you take the GMAT, you would score anything from 605 to 625. Is that a good score? Yes, it is. It's a competent score. But is it a score that's going to get you an admit into a top-notch business school? Quite difficult unless you have a profile which is substantially different, right? So what do we do at this place? It's like this is the kind of the score range that you are in where you're plateaued at a place and you need to push yourself to get to that 695. How much time do you require? The place where you start, you don't require 5 or 6 months. Probably for you, it would be about 3 to 4 months to do justice to your preparation. How should you basically plan your preparation in this 3 to 4 months? Give about 45 days to iron out all rough edges in the concepts that you have found which you are lacking based on this diagnostic test. It could be inequalities in absolute values. It could be about evaluate the argument or bold-faced statement in critical reasoning. Or it could be that you got all MSR wrong, that you need to work on that. Pick those areas and work on it. Do adequate number of practice, question by question type, and that would take you about 45 days. And then top it up with another 30 days of timed practice. Take section test, take topic-wise test. That takes us about 75 days. Another 30 days of full-length test. So we're anywhere between the 3 and 4 month window, and then you can take the GMAT, and you should gun for, because you're starting that 605 to 625 level, you should aim for nothing short of 695, and that would open doors to most top-notch business schools for you. How should you go about this preparation? You can look at self-paced preparation because fundamentals are reasonably good for you. But even here, I would say, take tutor-led assistance. It's going to make a significant difference. That 625 to 695 and a disciplined approach and someone who can handhold you through this process is super critical to get into a school, which is probably Iowa kind of a school, to something which is a Carnegie Mellon Tepper kind of a school. That is the big difference we are looking at. And this investment in time, effort, and discipline is certainly worth it. The third category, guys, you're already in the kind of the achiever category. You scored more than 45 out of the 64. Good going, but there is still a gap between the cup and the lip, right? This 45 to 55 kind of a number, you're so close to the threshold of getting that 705, but that 705 might be a 705 on a lucky day, could end up being a 665 on another day. You would require not much preparation, probably about 2 months of preparation. Pick the areas that are troubling you, right? You've probably done a preparation for an examination like CAT, or like you are someone who is wired to do well in these kinds of examination. But even here, you cannot take chances, right? The DI section requires significant amount of investment for anyone with any level of preparation. Wrap all of these things in probably about 20 days. Get timed section tests for another 20 days. Quickly wrap it up. If you find that there is a topic which you're already comfortable, let's say profits, persons, ratios, right? These are things you're comfortable. Don't invest time on it. It's definitely not worth it. 20 days, do timed tests and section tests only for areas where you have problem. And the last 20 days, do 6 to 8 mocks and wrap it up. So in 60 days, you should be able to do this justice to your GMAT. And you should definitely aim for 7 and 5 plus in the GMAT because you're starting off at a good place. So we all have some kind of an idea as to what kind of a preparation. You could actually look at 2 things. All you probably need are basically 3 things, let's put it, right? You need to do some self-paced preparation to help you navigate through those areas which are troubling you right now. You need to solve all versions of the OG. Swetha has done a video which is going to come live in a few days, which is going to talk about how to use the official guide. You probably know how to, but I would definitely recommend that you watch that video because you do not want to miss out the nuances of how to get the maximum value out of the official guide and then take mocks. So these are the 3 things that you need to do to get to that 705. Now you may be wondering, people who are in category 2 and category 3, those who have scored between 20 and 45, and those of you who have scored over 45, hey, he's talking about 3 to 4 months for me, he's talking about 2 months for me. September is when the deadline is, like August, if I finish the GMAT, it's good. So let me think about it sometime in June, right? June 1, you'll be heading toward the World Cup of football. So there are going to be distractions coming your way. And more importantly, what is the point in delaying the GMAT any further? You can finish the GMAT in 2 months from now. Start your preparation sometime in February. Get the GMAT out of your way by April for those of you who are scoring 45 plus. Once the GMAT is out of you, the analytical part of you, the number part of you can be put to rest. You can say, hey, hold on. Now I'm going to get into the storytelling mode. I'm going to get into the networking mode. I'm going to talk to students who are already in campus, people who are graduated from this place who are alumni. I'm going to network with them. And those are going to be important points when you're talking in your application essay as to why you chose that school, which is a very critical component. I spoke to this gentleman who was a 2017 graduate of your place, and he inspired me to join this place. And anecdotes like that are going to be a big thing. And those networking don't come easy, right? You could send a friend request, you can write a connect request to them on LinkedIn. Not everyone is going to accept it. Not everyone has the time and bandwidth to spend with you. You send these connect requests to 10, one would definitely would come back to you. And that is going to be the one which is going to open doors beyond what you have written in the essays. Those interviews where you can share anecdotes and interactions are going to be super crucial to impress upon the admission committee that you've done your homework and you're serious about the school. Those take time. The second thing, by delaying this GMAT time, if you're saying that I'm going to take it in June or I'm going to take it in May, there is no validity lost. Whichever time you take the GMAT, it's going to be valid for another 5 years. You are targeting a 2027 MBA. If you take it in 2026 May, you can apply till admissions which start in September 2031. We have adequate time that you're not going to lose any validity at all between taking it in the month of May or taking it in the month of July. So there's no loss there. Sooner the better. And let's face it, you might aim for a 705. That particular day may not have worked the way you expected it to be. It would have ended up being a 685. Is 685 a good score? Awesome score. But you have set a target for 705. And do you want to go any lower? You would always be like batting on the back leg. You don't want that. You want to be batting on the front foot, right? So to do that, you might probably want a 705. And you might want to have that backup plan of taking it again if there is a requirement. On all of these counts, whether you require 4-month preparation, 2-month preparation, I think the sooner you get started, start in February, get it as quickly out as possible. Those of you who are in the first category, right? This is where you start. So don't think that there is an advantage that these people who are finishing it in May are going to have. You can do many of these exercises if you do justice to the 6-month preparation and take the GMAT latest by July end or August 10th. You'd still have time to do justice to it. The second and third category people might be able to catch 5-6 schools in round 1. You might bat for probably 2 to 3 schools in round 1 and can do another 3 to 4 schools in round 2, right? So knowing where you start, how to navigate through this is the most crucial thing. Now, anyone at any of these categories you are, the link is given below. Take the test at the end of this 2 hours, 15 minutes. You're not going to be wondering, do I need a 6-month preparation? Do I need this? Do I need that? You have a framework to determine how you need to go about this preparation. Not just that, we'll also provide you with an AI assisted feedback on how you have done, as I promised earlier, right? That would also tell you, this is your area which you need to focus. These are the kind of mistakes you're making that you need to watch out for. That's going to give you one leg up into how you need to plan your preparation. Best wishes.